So
Now,
what sort of questions should we be
yeah,
asking lender to see if we as buyers qualify for some sort of discounts or credit in the area where we're buying property?
if you're reviewing a couple different properties, I would send those property addresses to your lender and ask for they can tell you, or at least I could tell you, particularly if there were any significant differences in the payment, cash to close, things of that nature. It's also to talk through loan to values. A lot of people don't realize that while, for example, a single family investment property, you could put down as little as 15%. You're going to have a hard time finding a company to give you a mortgage insurance policy if you only put down 15%. So let's set that aside. 20%, that's doable. No mortgage insurance, that is fine. You're going to see a significant difference in the points that you have to pay between 20 and 25%. So in most cases, if you have the capital to do it, 25% is going to be the way to go, because you're going to see probably 1 to 1.5 points less due at closing based on that loan to value. Now your lender can calculate that. They can tell you exactly what you're in for. Maybe a property has some of those closing cost discounts, and that might offset the expense of those points, but you can explore those things before you go into contract. And maybe that affects your decision making, especially if you're weighing multiple properties.
Right. Another thing that I found out, which I didn't even know was possible, was because, so we had gone through the Wells Fargo process for my personal residence. We had already done an appraisal. Appraisal came in okay. And then we started working with Nate. I didn't even know. Nate said, hey, we can just transfer the appraisal over. You don't have to go through another appraisal process and spend, this money again, which I didn't even know. So like those sort of things, I think it's always worth asking your lender. Like in this case, I didn't even ask Nate. He mentioned it to me. Hey, since you already had an appraisal done, we can just transfer it over from Wells Fargo. We need like a specific type of file that Wells Fargo needs, or whichever lender did your appraisal needs to send over. So it's in that specific format. And then we didn't even have to do another appraisal when we went through Nate. So Nate, what are some of the other questions that, or fees that you think an investor or buyer may not be negotiating right now, but they could negotiate with a lender, with some of the fees or other, costs and stuff that are incurred with the loan?
It's primarily those, because what is often not realized is that the lender fees are a small amount of your closing costs. The lender, typically it's around $1,000, $1,200. That's going to be the lender fees. Everything else is third party, from your appraisal to the company pulling your credit report, and title is third party. That's what makes some of these these closing cost discount opportunities so valuable, because even when you might see an advertisement for no origination fee, origination fees are significantly less than, in most cases, than even title alone. So when a company does have the power to waive those origination fees, but a discount like this, a credit based on, I know some other companies do something similar, so it's not just Huntington, but a discount like this can have a greater impact on the cash that you're actually spending at the closing table. So
the question would be like, you could straight up send a property address to your lender and just ask, hey, does this property qualify for any sort of credits based on where the property is located?
Exactly, because the discount I'm referencing is entirely having to do with the property's location, not the loan type. It has nothing to do with the individual purchasing it or the property use, which is a big distinguishing factor, because many of the benefits out there don't apply to investors. But in this case, it's solely dependent on the location of the property, being in one of those low or moderate income tract areas. So definitely worth the conversation.